Thank you very much, David. Thank you, everyone. It was to thank you, all the audience, for being here. And I appreciate very much the assistance of my students and colleagues in the University of La Coruña. I want also to thank the Corunna Innovate Summit and the Fundación Barrié. And I'm going to be something irreverent. I will talk in both languages, in Spanish and in English. And the reason is evident. La razón es tan evidente que así quedó mal con todo el mundo y nadie se enfada. Quedó mal con la gente que habla inglés y quedó mal con la gente que habla español. Bueno, pues pasamos a la cuestión. La estructura de la presentación que voy a dar está dividida en tres partes. En una primera parte la daré en castellano y será una parte muy sencilla sobre algunos de los principios de la computación cuántica y sobre todo de la mecánica cuántica que hemos tenido que estar escuchando durante esta sesión por la tarde, eso de la superposición tan rara que sube por aquí, baja por allá y tal. Bien. Y la idea será definir un marco de trabajo para futura discusión en computación cuántica. And then I will go to the second part of my presentation, in which I will tell you something about the history of quantum computing, as well as the current situation of quantum computing in the world, in Europe, in Spain, and in Galicia. And I will include some economical information that will be a part of my speech in order to generate an ambition for synergy between companies and academics. The third part of my talk will be about the next European project, the next application of quantum computing project, which is an European project funded by the H2020 European Commission. And the purpose is the application of quantum technologies for solving problems, practical problems, and industrial problems. This is a reminder. I am not an expert in quantum computing. I am an expert in almost anything at all. But when I was a student, I had an excellent professor named Julio Casado Linarejos, who told me something about physical chemistry, in fact, something about theoretical chemistry. And he was an excellent professor, an absolutely excellent professor who died in 2018. Then life takes me to the field of artificial intelligence, intelligent monitoring systems, reasoning under uncertainty, and things like that. But one day I read a paper on quantum computing, and believe it or not, I understood it. This is why this professor was something else than a professor. And I want to dedicate this talk to him. Well, ya no sé en qué idioma estoy hablando. Como académico que soy, y la gente que nos dedicamos al mundo de la academia solemos hacer, la función principal del académico es hacerse preguntas. And I'm going to make you, myself first, and to all of you, the following question. Why quantum computing? It's not an easy question to solve. Well, let me take a look to the following diagram, which is something similar, ya no sé ni en qué estoy hablando, which is something similar to the Moore's law. But it's not exactly the same. The real thing is that when the time passes, the speed of our computations or our computing devices became faster. But this is because the size of the computing devices became slower. But there is a limit in which the computing devices cannot be less than this limit, and this is the atomic limit. We are now in the scale of the nanometers, y en esta parte de los nanómetros, los fenómenos cuánticos empiezan a hacer su aparición de forma clara. Aspectos cuánticos que tendremos que tener en cuenta, porque resulta que los electrones se nos escapan por los agujeros. ¿Sí? Hay efectos de difícil comprensión, como la superposición de estados, efectos como la dualidad onda-partícula, efectos como la propia superposición, como el principio de determinación de Heisenberg. Y en definitiva voy a pegar un pequeño repaso sobre esta cuestión. Pero antes voy a presentarles, los puedo tutear, ¿no? A ver, que diga que no, que levante la mano. Os voy a tutear. Vamos a ver. La gente, yo quiero buscar en esta charla una sinergia entre la empresa y el mundo de la academia. Para lo cual tengo que evidenciar de alguna manera que el mundo de la academia y de la empresa está relacionado en el tiempo. No sé si a corto, medio o largo plazo, pero está relacionado con el tiempo. Y os voy a contar una pequeña historia referente a Paul Dirac y a Anderson. Paul Dirac era un físico teórico, Anderson era un físico experimental. Y cuando Paul Dirac trató de establecer un matrimonio entre la física de lo muy grande, la relatividad de Einstein, y la física de lo muy pequeño, la mecánica ondulatoria, se encontró con que tuvo que introducir en la ecuación de Rödinger un término que tenía la masa del electrón, pero que estaba cargado positivamente. Y le llamó positrón. La gente del mundo de la física dijo, dirá que aparte de tener una mala uva increíble, porque la tenía, era malísimo. Aparte de tener una mala uva increíble, pues siguió en sus 13, hasta que 3 años después, un físico experimental, un tal Anderson, encontró esta partícula en una cámara de niebla. Con lo cual quedó demostrada la hipótesis de Paul Dirac y dijeron, bueno, ¿y qué? Pues suponen antimateria, con lo cual debíamos estar todos destruidos, pero resulta que no estamos destruidos, por lo menos creo que yo no. Resulta que esta partícula llamada positrón es una herramienta imprescindible para el diagnóstico clínico de ciertas enfermedades a través de la tomografía de emisión de positrones, también llamada PET o PET. So something born from the very abstract part of the physics became something with practical application in more or less time. So, to the companies, invest in science. Although you don't know what is going on afterwards, but invest. Because something, somewhere, sometimes, it could happen that our discoveries will be for great help to the humanity. Right? Do you agree with me? Say yes. Okay. But quantum, although is everywhere around us, quantum behaves in a way which is not intuitive. In fact, empezaré con el efecto túnel. Well, I will start first in English and then in Spanish. Assume we have a classical particle that goes against a wall that can be represented by a potential barrier. And the potential energy of the barrier has some value. If the kinetic value of the electron is less than the potential barrier, the electron rebounds, hit the wall and then rebounds. the particle is not capable of trespassing the wall. But conversely, if we go to the quantum universe, if the particle, even if the particle has a kinetic energy less than the potential barrier of the wall, unless the potential barrier will be infinite, the particle can pass the wall. So we can find the particle at the other side of the wall. And then in Spanish, para aclararlo. Imaginemos que tenemos a un sobrino que es un encanto de niño. Cariñoso, nos quiere, nos adora. Le decimos, ¿qué, Joaquinito? ¿Nos vamos al zoo? Y el chaval se pone contentísimo y nos dice, bueno, vamos al zoo, tío. Y entonces yo, como lo quiero mucho, me lo llevo a un zoo clásico. ¿Por qué? Porque tengo la absoluta seguridad de que el tigre no se escapa del foso de potencial diseñado para que no se escape. Con lo cual el tigre no se coma a mi sobrino. Por el contrario, mi cuñado, que es un asqueroso, que tiene un hijo que es un asqueroso, y que me dice, llévate al sobrino al zoo, entonces me lo llevo a un zoo cuántico, coño. Porque existe una probabilidad no nula de que el tigre se escape del foso de potencial y se coma irremediablemente a mi sobrino, lo cual me resuelve un problema. Claro que luego me crea otro, que es quien le explica a mi cuñado que se ha comido el tigre al sobrino, pero bueno, esa es otra historia. En cualquier caso, lo que sí está claro es que con los electrones pasa lo mismo. Pueden atravesar los agujeros cuánticos, por decirlo de alguna forma. ¿De acuerdo? Por eso lleva a mi sobrino a un sitio y no al otro. Luego, otra imprecisión que nos cuentan. ¿Qué es un electrón? ¿Alguien sabe lo que es un electrón? What is an electron? Somebody knows what is that thing, that strange thing? Yo, desde luego, no. Porque nos dicen que un electrón es una partícula, es una onda que es particular, es una partícula que es ondulatoria. Pero es que no lo podemos saber. Porque imaginad que, por ejemplo, este cilindro de la figura es un electrón. The cylinder is an electron. But the cylinder is a cylinder. An electron is an electron. So, but we can learn something about the behavior of the electron by using imagination. Imagine we illuminate the cylinder from the lower right part of the figure, and we project the illumination on the blue wall. In that case, we obtain a rectangle. So the basic conclusion of the burro is, oh, an electron is a rectangle. We illuminate then from the lower left part and we obtain over the yellow wall a circle, and the same tonto say an electron is a circle. But no, the electron is an electron. What happens is that depending the way we see the electron, it behaves like a particle or like a wave. But the electron is an electron, okay? So there is an imprecision in which the way at the school they teach us the concept of electron. Given that, I will turn back to the anti-intuition that supposes quantum mechanics. And Richard Feynman, in his famous conference at Cornell University, told the students, more than 300 students, nobody understands quantum mechanics. No, you are not going to be able to understand it. You see, my physics students don't understand it either. That is because I don't understand either. The theory of quantum electrodynamics describes nature as absurd from the point of view of common sense, and it agrees fully with experiment. So I hope you can accept nature as she is, absurd. Claro, el que una persona, me voy a levantar, el que una persona como Richard Feynman, que fue premio Nobel de Física por sus contribuciones en electrodinámica cuántica, diga que no entiende la mecánica cuántica, a mí personalmente me hace pensar. Si él no la entiende, ¿qué narices voy a entender yo de mecánica cuántica? Y la respuesta es evidente, nada. Pero sé trabajar con ella. Voy a poner ahora una representación irreverente de lo que es un bit y voy a introducir lo que es un quantum bit. Para ello haré una reflexión. Un bit es una unidad de información que adopta el valor 0 si la declaración lógica asociada es falsa, o adopta el valor 1 si la declaración asociada es cierta. Pero para trabajar con bits necesitamos un dispositivo físico. Y el dispositivo físico más sencillo que me he encontrado es simplemente un circuito eléctrico, con una bombilla, que además se ríe o está contenta o llora. Si el circuito está abierto, la corriente no pasa por la bombilla. And the light bulb is sad because the circuit is off. But conversely, if the circuit is on, the electricity passes through the circuit and the light bulb is happy. But what is important here are these two marks, A and B, located to both sides to the bulb. Why? For introducing the direct notation, which is obvious. No? You know what is direct notation? Something that cannot be understood. But let's try it. A y B siempre tienen el mismo valor. Pero el valor que tienen A y B depende del estado del circuito. Si el circuito está cerrado, la bombilla está contenta y A y B valen. Venga. 1. Si por el contrario el circuito está abierto, la bombilla está triste y por lo tanto el valor de A y B es el mismo y vale 0, terapia. If we now translate that in a tabular form and we go through columns from A to B, we find the two values of E. Cuando trasladamos esto a una representación matricial de que es 0 y que es 1, ya veremos lo que es esto, entramos por la A igual a 0 y A igual a 1, y por B igual a 0 y B igual a 1. Esta representación tabular se puede dividir en dos partes, de forma que si vamos de A a B tenemos la matriz columna 1, 0. Y si vamos de B a A tenemos la matriz fila, de B a A tenemos la matriz fila 1, 0. Esta es la notación bracket de Dirac. Algo que es tan difícil para comprender para los estudiantes normalmente. Suele ser difícil. Bien, vamos a ver ahora. Let's go to talk about a little bit history. The basic question is, what can we do with computers? Or what quantum computing can do for us? Everyone agrees that we will be able to tackle complex issues that until now were impossible to solve. Also, we will be able to make faster and more precise simulations of new materials or medicines, and we will see computers that alone will be able to analyze the risk of their clients in a few seconds if we are working in the financial domain. But from 35 years before, Richard Feynman proposed the principle of, there is a mistake here, of quantum computing. It's not quantum mechanics. And everyone started to talk about the quantum computing. And it deserves great investments in the countries that are working in quantum computing, since they saw a great potential in quantum computing. And how China and the United States are the countries that more invest in quantum computing, as we will see in the next slide. But it is clear that we are in a quantum race. In a quantum race in which countries and companies want to be the leaders of this quantum race. First of all, although the staff started in the institutes of research and in the academic part of in the academics, rapidly companies like IBM, Google, Alibaba, I'm not copying Ignacio Cirac, just telling the same thing, but a different way. IBM announced its first quantum computer in 2016 with just 5 quantum bits. A year later, he did the same with a 16 quantum bit one, and so on, so on, so. And finally, he defined a quantum computer of 50 quantum bits. Immediately, the company Google started with talk about the quantum supremacy and built a quantum computer of 54 quantum bits. So the race is already here. More than a race, the war. There is an authentic war. Let me take a look to a few countries. In the USA, there is an entire program of $1-2 billion in investment in the development of quantum methodologies, technologies over the next decade. And a significant part of this investment will be dedicated to 5 companies, and also universities. On the other hand, China, if we talk about China, in 2017, the government of China announced the construction of a specialized laboratory of $10 billion. And also the company, like Alibaba, is building a general purpose quantum computing with 1,000 quantum bits by 2030. The race is there. But let me finish this part with a reflection. Assume that following research and markets, this year, almost 8 million euros will be allocated to quantum computing technologies. In 2026, the figure will rise to more than 26 million. Around 7% of large companies worldwide already dedicate at least 17% of their annual technology budget to the quantum game, and the percentage will reach 19% by 2023. Do you know who is that guy? Who is? Cirac. According with Cirac, quantum computing will give us the power to perform much larger calculations in the areas like science, materials, biomedicine, and also to manage great volumes of data. But however, if we are in the quantum race and we are dealing with these kind of problems, the basic situation is that we want to ask to ourselves what's happening in Europe. We see some activity in Finland, in Sweden, in Denmark, in the United Kingdom, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in France, in Switzerland, in Austria, and believe it or not, in Spain. But there is a great disproportion between the quantity of money that each country dedicates to this area. This is what we call the dispersion of quantum technologies, and only Germany can be considered as a country that is leading the quantum computing race in Europe. Although, I'm sorry for Germans, the results that they are achieving are not as expected. As a matter of conclusion of this part, Europe is in a clearly lower step and with market inequality depending on the country we consider. And despite being the scientific cradle of many of the techniques and premises of quantum technology, which is absolutely true, in the old continent we have not been able to materialize this knowledge in developments likely to reach the market in the medium term. And only the quantum flagship is taking it seriously this part of the problem. And what about Spain? In Spain, there are some activity, but so few activity that there's almost nothing, very few activity. Only few projects from the CSIC and Spanish universities managed to stand up to very specific applications of quantum computing, and mainly applications in cryptography or financing are of some relevance. Not to say in Galicia, in which only CESGA and the 3 universities are working hard in the problem of quantum computing, although there is also the 3 universities, the University of Santiago de Compostela, the University of Vigo, and the University of La Coruña. And institutionally, there is a desire or initiative to create the Polo Quántico about quantum computing. I will finish this part of my talk saying that when the train passes, we have to get on, even if the train is moving. So we have to get into the train. We have to take into advantage the economical offers that the governments, European, national, and local, are dedicated to the quantum area, and to establish synergies between companies and universities. It is the only way to go into the train, to talk. Finally, I will present the next application of quantum computing European project, which is a project which is European, actually. We are in the NISQ area, as Chirac said just a few minutes ago. The NISQ area means that we are not able to reach fault tolerance because of the few number of quantum bits, so we cannot use redundance to correct the errors. And also we are starting with the NISQ area, so we have to manage a balance between errors or scalability, and we are far away from scalability. Okay? So we are talking about NISQ quantum computing. Rapidly, the NISQ project is a 4-year project starting the 1st September of 2020. It's a multidisciplinary consortium of 12 companies and research labs, funded by the Horizon 2020 program on the complementary kind of the quantum technology flagship, and has been funded with almost 5 million euros. The idea is boosting practical applications of quantum computing in the NISQ area, and the companies involved are Atos, AstraZeneca, CESGA, EDF, HQS, HSBC, iCheck, the University of Leiden, Tilde, Total, the University of La Coruña, and the University of Lorraine. Basically, all use cases are endorsed by an industrial partner and investigated by an integrated team of industrial and academic partners. We are working on chemistry, on machine learning and optimization, and symbolic artificial intelligence and graph algorithmics, and The project is use case driven, addressing the practical problems, and the main ambition is to initiate an active European community around NISQ quantum computing by providing a common set which attract industrial users. The consortium has chosen a wide selection of NISQ companies. I will now go through this, but I am going to say that we are experts in quantum computing, high performance computing, artificial intelligence, or chemistry. As far as the use cases are concerned, in the area of symbolic artificial intelligence and graph algorithms, we are working in quantum probabilistic safety assessment, in quantum natural language processing, and in quantum rule-based systems for breast cancer detection. And the companies involved in this area are ICHEC, EDF, the University of La Coruña, TILDE, CESGA, and the University of Leiden. On the other hand, as far as machine learning and optimization is concerned, we are making efforts in hard optimization problems for smart charging of electric vehicles, in the reinforcement learning for inventory management, in financial applications, ¿verdad, Carlos? And in HPC mesh segmentation. And the companies involved are Total Energies, EDF, the University of La Coruña, the University of Leiden, CESGA, HSBC, and the University of Lorraine. A special case refers to chemistry, Moisés. Our goal, and this is very interesting for you, that we are, well, for people who is dealing with the design of new drugs or in pharmacology, our goal is to bridge the gap between the recent proof of concept quantum chemical computations on NISQ processors and actual industrial scale quantum chemistry problems. And the aim is to create software tools to integrate classical quantum chemical codes with quantum computing modules. So it's a kind of mixture of efforts. A kind of mixture of efforts. I don't know how many time I'm talking, but I will finish my presentation with a collage with the pictures of the people who is leaders in different work packages. And trust me, these people is working hard in trying to get into the train before the train passes. Thank you very much. Any question?
Thank you, Vicente, for the very nice talk. This is a very fundamental question that perhaps, I don't know if this is the best moment to answer it, but maybe either you can answer or think about it and then we can discuss some other time.
No, you can answer.
The thing is, as you said, all this is based mainly nowadays on the electron spin.
Mm-hmm.
Why not on nuclear spin? Because I think there would be lots of advantages in working with nuclear spins instead of working with electron spins. Among them, we would avoid somehow, or
the coherence and so on.
Coherence problems and also tunneling problems and many other problems.
Every particle with natural spin is useful to
I know, this is why I'm asking, why not nuclear spin?
So you need the answer before, Every particle with natural spin is suitable for dealing with this. We cannot write below atom, in fact, because there are lots of coherence problems because of lose the quantity properties. Espérate que me va a sacar esta foto una chica. More questions? Pues sí que lo he dejado claro. Bueno. No, te toca a ti, David.
So what's next here in Galicia? I mean, are you preparing like a team of doctoral program students to create like the first cohort of people who is going to be working in the future in this year? What are the plans?
Look, in Galicia, as usual, we are a couple of steps back in almost everything, but not in quantum computing. Not in quantum computing because there are people in the University of Vigo in terms of cryptography and communications, in the University of Santiago in terms of quantum mechanics and quantum information, and in the University of La Coruña in terms of quantum computing pure. In fact, let me tell you, this is totally true. Several years ago, I went to see my dean in the Faculty of Informatics, of quantum computer science, and I said to him, hey, we need to go into the train before the train passes. And he said to me, it's very difficult in terms of the bureaucracy. And I will not repeat what I said to him. Because it has something to do with flies that fly, flies that are flying. I don't give things like that. So it was a matter of my own personal work, really. And I started giving seminars of quantum computing for free without having one peseta. And I had the classrooms full of people trying to understand that. And I said to the dean, see, we need quantum computing, although as an optional subject, because the future is in quantum computing. I was trying to ask to Dr. Ignacio Cilac what he believed about the statement of Richard Feynman concerning that in 2050 quantum computers will be on the table. I didn't ask the question because I knew the answer before. Later than in 30, but before than 50. Because the theory is almost done. The problem is that we are now in a stage, you said that, I think, the NISQ was a huge computer with a lot of valves, with a lot of stuff. Now our computers, quantum computers are huge computers that need lots of code, but it depends on the technology, not in the theory. Of course, there are some theoretical problems that need to be resolved, but anyway, I think that the problem is a matter of time. And there is another interesting question. We don't know what the quantum computing can do for us. In the same way that we cannot know what a positron in the time of Paul Dirac could do for us. Do you know what I mean? And this is all my thought. Research is always good, even if it doesn't serve to anything at all. And that's my point. Sorry. When I just born, I said to the doctor, the first thing, give me one cigarette, please. And the second is, where is the university? And that's it.
So then, just to close up on the whole session, what's left for classical computing?
classical computing.
What will be left for it, if any?
Classical computing has always his field of application. In fact, I strongly believe that the best advantages in quantum computing will be with the help of classical computing. It's the same example that when we work in symbolic artificial intelligence and numeric artificial intelligence. There were cycles, this is best, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. The best thing that could happen is that both collaborate between them. And this is my I don't know, Paco, if it agrees with me or not. No, about artificial intelligence, I mean. Collaboration between numeric artificial intelligence and symbolic artificial intelligence is a benefit. You can take advantage of both.
And similarly, looking at operations research and all the techniques in optimization, and marrying that with artificial intelligence.
Okay, but for example, neural networks are non-dynamic, like non-linear dynamic systems. That's it. The other thing are more and more neural networks, more sí, de capas.
Layers.
¿Cómo?
Layers.
Layers. Pues eso, layers. Bueno, ya está bien, ya estoy cansado.
Okay, thank you very much, Vicente, for your talk.